when President Biden and President Xi met for a summit in Woodside in San Francisco about a year ago, they actually agreed on some areas where the U.S. and China should work together, where our interests align and converge. I'll give you a couple examples. One of them is counter-narcotics. Many of the fentanyl precursors that flow into Mexico to be formed into the pills that come into this country and kill Americans emanate in the first place from China. And so we wanted to work with the PRC to place greater restraint and regulation on those precursors so that flow was stemmed. And over the course of the last year, we've made progress on that. And that's thanks to incredible work from DHS, DOJ, other agencies of the U.S. government. But there's more work to do on that front. But it is an example of where actually a threat to the United States, but also a global threat, the global threat of synthetic opioids, can be met in part by work together between the United States and China. Climate is another example. John Podesta, the president's senior climate envoy, was recently in Beijing, particularly focused on certain noxious gases and the work the U.S. and China can do together. And we have examples of, over the course of the past decade, where we have been able to make some progress in that area. But our view all along has been that there is nothing inconsistent with pursuing that kind of collaboration where our interests converge, and also competing vigorously where they do not converge, whether it's in the military domain or in the technology domain or in the diplomatic domain, where we see China taking steps that are coercive and counter to what we see as kind of universal principles or the United Nations Charter. So we have to be able to do both at the same time. And the president has designed a strategy where we compete intensively, but we manage that competition responsibly so it doesn't veer into conflict, and it preserves this space to work together on certain issues. The last point I would make is all of this requires intense diplomacy at a leader level and at all levels below that. And it also requires extensive military-to-military communications. I was in China at the end of August and had the opportunity to meet with the vice chairman of the Chinese Military Commission. This is the first time that an American official has met with basically the top-ranking uniform in China in nearly a decade. And it goes to show you that we don't have the depth of engagement at a mil-mil level we need, and that's because China has historically been resistant to that. Over the last couple of years, that's opened up quite a bit. Secretary Austin, Chairman Brown, others, including Admiral Paparo, have had the opportunity to engage their counterparts. We need to sustain that, because the only way that we are going to effectively manage this competition is to maintain a thickness and a frequency of engagement at every level, and particularly with respect to military communication.